Good afternoon from California, not so sunny California today. This topic is one that I've been seeing quite a bit for many, many years, but it seems to be on the rise right now, and I've had quite a few people contact me about this particular subject lately. So I think I'm gonna share what I know on the subject, understanding I am not the be-all, end-all of any of these topics. But I think that perhaps understanding that every wish you make or every deal that you make is a contract and it comes with a cost. So let me put it more specifically. There are situations in which a person may be desperate, they may want something, they may need something, they may go to a reader or a priest for that matter, or a healer or someone, and they want something. So in a lot of cases I see this, I've seen this for years, and I have friends who are in various different spiritual forms and different traditions that do contract magic. They'll actually, someone will go to them and they'll say, hey, I want my lover to come back, or I want to find love in my life, or I need a job, or whatever. And they'll be in exchange for the services, and then it happens. In some cases, these go wrong. People go to someone who maybe doesn't have their best interests at heart, or maybe isn't fully trained, or maybe doesn't come from a lineage, or whatever the reason. And I'm not here to judge anyone or to criticize anyone. I am here to say, be aware that if you were in a situation where you are desperate or wanting or desirous or needing, and you go to someone and you pay them for their services, hey, do some magic to make X, Y, or Z happen for me, be aware that you're making a contract. And be aware that in all of these cases, there is a payment to be made. And be very clear on what the payment is, what you're willing to make for this agreement. And I'm not talking about the money that is given to the person. If a person has to invoke a being that is more powerful than them to do something for you, then that being has more power than they do. Just remember that. If someone has to invoke or call a being to do the job for you, then a contract is being made between that person and that being that has more power, that spirit, that elemental, whatever it is. So be aware that sometimes in those cases, as I have seen over many years, those deals go terribly wrong because something was violated or something was not clear in the contract. Okay? And I have been seeing a lot lately, people in situations that have gotten in tricky situations, things are going wrong in their lives because they went to someone, they had someone do some kind of magic or something for them, and then it's going wrong for whatever reason. And in those cases, it's usually either that they weren't aware that they were making a contract with the being that was doing whatever it was for them, or they made another contract afterwards, or something went off the rails with the contract. This stuff is called contract magic. If someone is invoking someone to do something for you, their contract is being made. Be very clear on what the terms of the contract are, what you're asking for, and if it comes to you, do not push it away because you made a deal to get it. And in some cases, the contract that you make is what you experience from getting it. So for example, if a person goes and they make a contract to fall in love, then maybe the spirit or being that comes and gives them or helps them to achieve that, maybe the food or the thing that it needs or feeds on is the happiness that you get from that relationship. And if it comes along and suddenly you decide, oh no, I'm afraid, I don't want to get involved, and you push it away, you've broken the contract. So this is kind of a heavy subject and very involved, and it was so involved that I actually wrote a novel about it. years ago because I was dealing with this all the time with clients, and people were making wishes, they were making deals, they were making contracts, either with with some sort of spirit or being just through an intervention. And you could do this in a church. You could be in a church, make a wish, and something hears you and makes a deal with you. It doesn't really matter. Or you could go to someone formally and say, hey, will you do this service for me? And they make a deal, whatever. But I ended up writing a novel about it because I was so tired of explaining it, and I wanted to put it in a way that actually had an analogy to it. So I actually wrote a novel about it, and because it's that common, and I wanted people to see, in a fictional light that was enjoyable, what goes wrong when we make wishes and we don't either keep our word, or push away what we get, or we don't pay our contract. The point of all of this is, if you are in a situation where you're making a wish or you're making a deal with someone, know what it is that you're agreeing in that contract. It's the same thing with human beings. We all the time will make a deal with someone. It happens in relationships all the time. People's relationships fall apart because they're not keeping the contract that they agreed to. And usually when I do a love reading for someone, it's because I look at what's going on with the contract between two, and it's because one or both feels that the contract's not being met. And if you're wishing for something and having a spiritual intervention, and the being that you make the deal with feels that you're not making your contract, things could go terribly wrong. So be aware of what contract you're making, what you're wishing for, what you're asking for, and what state of mind that you're in when you do so. Because if you're in a state of desperation or fear or whatever, you may be drawing something to you that you really don't want in the long run. I hope this makes some sense, and I hope it gives you something to think about as you make these wishes and make these deals, and we don't want to. But like I said, I've been seeing this a lot lately, and I've had a lot of people coming to me about these things lately. And it's a time when people are making lots of wishes, and there's some desperation out there right now, and people they're making deals to get what they want and what they need. And no one's judging this. It's understandable. And it's a very old practice among us humans. So, I am Lucky Lynx, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. If you want to schedule a reading with me, 779-302-8009. I think I just forgot my phone number. Or conjurehope@gmail.com. I'll put the information in the thing below. And if you want to sign up for a class, I've got a whole bunch of classes. If you want to learn to read tarot better, if you want to learn to read Lenormand better, if you want to learn to read Mexican Loteria cards, which is coming this week. I'm starting that class this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you'd like to learn how to read a crystal ball, contact me and I'll tell you how to do it and what the rates for the classes are. You go out there and make your dreams come true, and be careful of the contracts that you make, the wishes that you make. Be very, very careful what you're asking for and what you're agreeing to, because if you're not clear, that's when things tend to go off the rails and you get something that you really didn't anticipate.